February 24th, 2025, and this video is called What Did You Do Last Week? D.O.G.E. email. Now, my friend works at the National Park Service, and he did receive this email. Now, this deadline is supposedly at midnight tonight, so it should be interesting how this is going to play out. Now, how did this all come about? So on Saturday, February 22nd, 2025, Elon Musk, in his role as an advisor to President Donald Trump and leader of the Department of Government Efficiency, D.O.G.E, announced on X that federal employees would receive an email asking them to list their accomplishments from the previous week. He stated that failure to respond would be considered a resignation. Shortly after, an email with the subject line, "What did you do last week?" was sent from the Office of Personnel Management to federal workers across various agencies. The email requested employees to reply with approximately 5 bullet points summarizing their accomplishments from the week of February 17th through the 21st, 2025, and to carbon copy their managers with a deadline of Monday, February 24th, 2025 at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that is midnight today. Unlike Musk's X post, the email itself did not mention any consequences like resignation for not responding. The move sparked confusion and pushback. Some agencies like the FBI and State Department told employees not to respond immediately, advising them to wait for further guidance. Federal unions criticized the email as disrespectful and questioned Musk's legal authority to enforce such a demand. Musk later clarified on X that the request was a simple pulse check to identify inactivity or potential fraud, though he provided no specific evidence to support claims of widespread fraud. Now, this is exactly what my friend was told to. This right here was not to respond immediately and wait for advice of further guidance. So that will come when he goes to work tomorrow. Now, this is the tweet that he did put out. Here it states, consistent with President Trump's instructions, all federal employees will shortly receive an email requesting to understand what they did last week. Now, failure to respond will be taken as a resignation. Now, this is pretty interesting. His response to his own tweet, couple days later, was a large number of good responses have been received already. These are the people that should be considered for promotions. Now, this is, I think, the main reason why they're doing this, because our debt is out of control, and if nothing is done, I think we will collapse sooner than later. So check this little fact out. Interest costs are the real kicker. In fiscal year 2024, net interest payments hit $882 billion, about 18% of the $4.9 trillion in revenue. The CBO projects interest costs will climb to $1 trillion annually by 2029 and reach 38% of federal revenues by 2053, assuming no major policy shifts. If interest rates rise faster than expected or debt accelerates, this could happen sooner. Some analysts, like those at Penn Wharton Budget Model, suggest financial markets might only tolerate another 20 years of deficits from 2023, putting a potential breaking point around 2043, though market confidence could falter earlier, spiking borrowing costs and hastening a crisis. Now, I asked, where does the interest rates paid on the national debt go to? Who is getting that money that we're paying that interest to? Now, there's a couple breakdowns for that, who gets that interest. But the one I want to point out is these foreign investors. A significant chunk of the national debt is held by foreign governments, central banks, and private investors overseas. As of recent data, countries like Japan and China are among the largest foreign holders, owning billions in U.S. treasuries. When the U.S. pays interest, some of it flows to these international creditors. So we are borrowing money and paying foreign countries because our debt is so out of control. Now, I think this is a pretty good response to the "What did you do this week?" email. I don't understand people who think this is extreme. I think it's reasonable for taxpayers to know what government employees who receive good benefits are actually doing. Now, I know a couple people that are government employees, and believe me, they make some pretty good salary. They also have great overtime, they have a lot of vacation time, they get holiday pay, they get great retirement and pensions. They have the best medical and dental, and they have what they call a cost of living adjustment. Oh, and by the way, it's nearly impossible for them to get fired. Now, more power to them. Nothing against that. I think it's one of the greatest jobs. If you don't go to college, you can't beat it. But then you would think the least they could do is answer one simple question. And that question is, what did you do last week?